Hi everyone, it's Patricia and welcome back to our channel. So for today, to get us rolling and into the month of November, I have November trivia and facts. So let's roll into it. So our first question asks, which of the following does not take place in November? Is it Sadie Hawkins Day, Veterans Day, the Super Bowl, or All Souls Day? Which of those does not take place in the month of November? What are some of the other holidays in November? We have Thanksgiving. We have Election Day. Let's see, Sadie Hawkins Day. That one is set as November 13th usually. Veterans Day is usually November 11th. We have All Souls Day celebrated on November 2nd. So the correct answer was Super Bowl. That is the event and day not celebrated in November. Super Bowl is usually celebrated in February. Let's roll into our next question. It says, true or false? November gets its name from the Latin word novem, which means 9, the number 9. Do you think that's true or false? So November kind of sounds like novem. And do you think the Latin word for novem is 9? What do you think about that? So this one happens to be true. It says that November is the 9th month in the Roman calendar. It's the 11th month for the Julian and Gregorian calendars, but since it was the 9th month in the Roman calendar, that's why it was called November, to go off the root word that meant 9. So for the next one, it says, what Blue Muppet character was designed by Jim Henson on November 2nd of 1966? Was it Bert? Was it Ernie? Was it Big Bird? Or was it Cookie Monster? Which one of those Blue Muppet characters was designed November 2nd of 1966? Do you have a guess for this one? Which one of those characters is the big blue Muppet? If you guessed this one correctly, you said Cookie Monster. So it says the Sesame Street character frequently sings the song, C is for Cookie. Let's jump into our next question. It says, true or false? November is one of 5 months with the length of 30 days. Is that true or false? Let's see, some of the other months that have 30 days would be April, we have June has 30 days, September is another one. Do you think November has 30 days? And are there any other ones? So this question was a little tricky. So it said, true or false, November is one of 5 months with the length of 30 days. This one happened to be false because it says November is one of only 4 months with 30 days, not 5 months. And those 4 months are April, June, September, and November. Let's get into the next question. It says, what Hans Christian Andersen story featuring a feathered animal was published on November of 1843? Which one of those characters from his books has feathers? The author again was Hans Christian Andersen, and he created it back in 1843. And in this story, there's an animal that turns into something beautiful. It's a duck that turns into a swan. So that animal in the book that was based on is the ugly duckling. So that's what Hans Christian Andersen created in 1843. What do you think about this question? It says Harpo Marx was born on November 23rd of 1888. What instrument did he play? Do you remember what group Harpo Marx was a part of? And what instrument he might have played in that? So, similar to his name, Harpo played the harp. It says Harpo was the second oldest of the Marx brothers. The brothers, from oldest to youngest, were Chico, Harpo, Groucho, Gummo, and Zeppo. Those were their names. So this one asks, true or false? Every presidential election in U.S. history has been in November. Is that one true or false? So right now, our elections fall in November, on November 3rd. Do you think it's always been like that? So this answer is false. It says some states held elections as late as December. Before 1845, states were allowed to vote anytime within a 34-day window, as long as it was completed by the first Wednesday in December. Interesting. Do you know this one? It says, who found Dr. Livingston on November 9th of 1871? Was it said to be Henry Stanley, Horace Greeley, Daniel Boone, or Robinson Crusoe? Who is said to have found Dr. Livingston on November 9th of 1871? And if you guessed this one correctly, you guessed Henry Stanley. It says, through a promotion sponsored by the New York Herald, Stanley started out looking for Livingston 8 months earlier, and he found Dr. Livingston in Ujiji, Africa. Interesting. So our next question asks, U.S. Daylight Savings Time ends on November 1st at 2 a.m. Do people gain or lose 1 hour at this time? What do you think? When Daylight Savings Time ends, do people gain or lose 1 hour? Have you ever lived in another state that used Daylight Savings Time? Or maybe have a friend that lives in another state where they practice that? So the answer to this question is people gain 1 hour. So people get an extra hour of sleep when we fall back in autumn, and people lose an hour when U.S. Daylight Saving Time begins on March 14th in 2021 at 2 a.m. How about this one? It says, what is the birth flower for November? Do you think it's carnation, tulip, chrysanthemum, or rose? Which one of those is the birth flower of November? So if you're familiar with this answer, it's chrysanthemum. And chrysanthemums are native to Asia and northeastern Europe. So another day they have in November is Mocktail Day, which is on November 12th. What is a mocktail? Do you think it's a bird, a non-alcoholic beverage, a hairstyle, or a fairy tale? Which one of those do you think is a mocktail? If you've ever had a mocktail, it's a non-alcoholic beverage, and then Shirley Temple is an example of one. We have another question about an author. It says, Robert Louis Stevenson was born on November 13th of 1850. Which is not one of his literary characters? Is it Mr. Hyde, Dr. Jekyll, Long John Silver, or Lemuel Gulliver? Which one of those literary characters is not one of Robert Louis Stevenson's? What do you think about this one? Have you read any of his books and are familiar with the characters? Which one of those is not one of his characters? So the answer was Gulliver. This is Gulliver is one of Jonathan Swift's characters from the novel Gulliver's Travels. For our next question, it says, on November 18th, 1307, William Tell shot an arrow through a piece of fruit that was sitting on his son's head. And what kind of fruit was it? What do you think about this one? William Tell shot an arrow through a piece of a fruit that was on his son's head. What fruit do you think it was? Do you think it could have been an orange? Maybe something small like a strawberry? Or something big like a watermelon? Let's see. It was an apple. It says, according to legend, Tell had 2 crossbows prepared for shooting. If he killed his son, then he planned to execute the man who devised the punishment with the other arrow. Our last question says, what song did Kate Smith sing for the very first time on November 11th of 1938? Do you think she sang When the Moon Comes Over the Mountain? Or was it Yankee Doodle Dandy? Or was it America? Or was it God Bless America? Which one of those songs did Kate Smith sing for the very first time on November 11th of 1938? Are you familiar with some or all of those songs? Which one of those do you think she sang? So if you guessed this one correctly, you said God Bless America. It says the Irving Berlin song is her signature song. Now I have a couple of interesting facts about November to share with you guys. One being that Shakespeare, in all his 37 plays and 154 sonnets, never talked about or mentioned the month of November. He mentioned many other months, but never the month of November. It also says that November can sometimes be known as No Shave November, where people won't shave. Usually men will grow out their hair, and it's actually to raise awareness for men health issues, such as some cancers that only men go through. Also, for the month of November, it says that the full moon that occurs then is known as the full beaver moon. It kind of got this name during the colonial era because it says this was the month to set one's beaver traps before the swamps froze over and the beavers retired to their lodges. So to ensure a supply of the furs from the beavers, they would set the traps right around now. And for the month of November, there's a couple of folklores about the weather. Have you heard any November weather folklores? Let's take a look at some. One of them says, if there's ice in November that will bear a duck, there will be nothing after but sludge and muck. Another one says, if trees show buds in November, the winter will last until May. Different one says, a heavy November snow will last until April. Let's look at another one. It says, ice in November brings mud in December. Have you heard of any of those? What are some other weather folklores you know? And we talked about chrysanthemum being the flower of November. Do you happen to know the birthstone of November? It's topaz, which is usually a yellow to amber color type of gem. And that's the last of all the trivia and facts about November. So we'll see you next time in our next video. Bye!